Good afternoon, Villa fans, and welcome to the second episode or second one in the series of the X1s. Yesterday's video was the best ever Aston Villa X1 of the Premier League era, in my opinion, and there were some nice little comments coming in around that. And I want to do today's video talking about the best X1 of academy graduates to come out of Villa Park. Had to do a bit of a deep dive to find some of these, and yeah, some of the findings were surprising that we haven't really done very well from the defensive point of view on the academy side. Have produced some good attacking and midfield players, as you will see from the picture just here. But yeah, just wanted to jump on and have a little talk about this. So yeah, just grab yourself a little cup of tea. And yeah, let's dive straight into it. So, you know, going through the whole sort of goalkeeper options from the academy, there wasn't very many. I've gotten here with Michael Oakes, who those of you might remember from the late 90s, early 2000s, I think it was. He was predominantly the backup keeper to like Mark Bosnich, so probably around the 90s actually. Had quite a few caps at England under 21 level, but didn't obviously play regularly for us and wasn't able to sort of break into the first team. Had a spell at Wolverhampton Wanderers, I believe, as well. But he was the only goalkeeper that really sprung out to mind. The other one was Bose Myhill, who got 19 caps for Wales. So you can probably say that maybe he did a little bit better. But in terms of Aston Villa, I remember Michael Oakes just coming in for the odd game here or there. He had the blonde hair, the curtains, and he made some quite good saves here and there, I remember, in a few games that he played. But there wasn't very much to go from in terms of goalkeeper options from the academy. So I've gone with Michael Oakes. If there's anyone that you can think of, I've said Bose Myhill was probably a close second. Apart from that, can't really think of anyone else, to be fair. And then around the defence, difficult to find fullbacks that came through the academy. Had the likes of like Brian Small, who was there as an option at left back, but I didn't really think he was that great. So I've gone with the back three. Standout name probably is Gary Cahill here, who I thought was a good defender. Obviously, you know, scored that bicycle kick against Birmingham and, you know, wrote himself into Villa folklore. Wasn't getting too much of a look in under Martin O'Neill, wanted to go away and play more kind of first team football. I think we ended up selling him to Bolton Wanderers, and then he got a move to Chelsea and, you know, really sort of cemented himself as a really good centre-back in the Premier League. And I think he played quite a few times for England as well. So, yeah, he was one who came to the academy who maybe we could have kept hold of. Definitely would have been good enough for the first team. Very good on the ball. Good in both boxes, attacking the ball from an attacking point of view and also from a defensive point of view. So Gary Cahill was definitely the standout centre-back that I came across from our academy. Other names that I've got here is Ricky Schmeichel, who, again, was capped at England under 21 level quite a bit, didn't really make the step up into sort of first team. Played a few games for Villa in a back three. I remember him even playing up front a couple of times when we were, you know, injuries up front and we needed someone to play up there, and it was him as the target man. Wasn't anything spectacular, is what I would say, but yeah, he played his part in a squad in that back three where we had like Southgate, Ekiog, I think Staunton, and he was kind of the backup to that. I think later on he got a move to, I think it was Nottingham Forest or somewhere like that, and moved on and sort of progressed his career further. So Ricky Schmeichel comes in there as one of the centre-backs in the back three. And the last one I came across was Kieran Clark, who, again, you know, played left side. Should have put him on the left side, really. Left side centre-back for us. You know, blood and thunder kind of defender. You know, he would definitely not pull out of challenges. There was one very famous one where he's gone to tackle someone and they've literally done a 360 somersault as he's gone all the way through them. Not the quickest, not the best on the ball. Just one of those players that would do a steady job for you. Reliable. I think we sold him on to Newcastle. But yeah, he was a steady kind of performer. But there wasn't very many centre-back options to choose from. So these are the three that I've gone with. Other names could have been J. Lloyd Samuel, but I think we picked him up from the Charlton Academy. I think he played maybe kind of a year with us in the youth system before getting into the first team. But he wasn't really a centre-back anyway. He was more of a left-back. So I've gone with Schmeichel, Cahill and Clark as a back three in front of Michael Oakes as the goalkeeper. But it does get better. It does get better. So midfield, so the three across midfield that I've gone with. So I've gone with Gareth Barry, obviously as that holding midfield player. You can obviously say that he came through the Brighton Academy. We picked him up as I think it was like a 15-year-old from them. But he did play in our academy for a couple of years, then made the progression to the first team and was in the first team from the age of 17 pretty much, and then stayed in that first team setup, whether he was playing as a left-footed centre-back for us in a back three, sometimes pushed into midfield. And I think the midfield position is where you saw him kind of blossom with his passing ability, calmness and composure on the ball, and ultimately getting that big money move to Man City in the end as well. So, a really good player for us, captained us on many an occasion. They're still thought of very highly at the club, still, gets involved with sort of club activities and things like that. So Gareth Barry, I think he was our all-time appearance holder as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But Gareth Barry is definitely a player that came through the academy and had a really distinguished career. Maybe should have done more for England, but there was a lot of competition in that midfield space as he was kind of coming through. But yeah, definitely a standout player and one of the best players to come through the academy as well. And then following on from that, further ahead of him, we've got Lee Hendry. He was a young, exciting player who came through sort of late 90s and the 2000s. I remember him playing in that Atletico Madrid game and having a couple of really good strong seasons where he got amongst the goals, and he was supporting people like Ian Taylor in that midfield and getting forward, and really a crowd favourite. Obviously, he put his heart on his sleeve and gave everything for the Villa. Every 90 minutes he ran, he was putting in his effort and doing so well. So Lee Hendry, fond memories of him, and yeah, just a real workhorse in that midfield, and had quality at times where he could finish really well. And also assist with some sort of through balls and things like that. Jacob Ramsey is the other midfield player that we've got. JJ, who obviously we've sold on to Newcastle recently for 42 million, more of a PSR sale in my point of view, but a really good player to come through the academy. Did well for us, played in that sort of, that inverted left-hand side, can dribble with the ball, can score a goal, gave everything for the shirt as well. And, I'm sure if we didn't have to sell him, then we wouldn't have. And I'm sure that he wouldn't have wanted to go. But I think things just came to a close where we needed the money. We needed to sell an academy graduate, and Newcastle were prepared to pay the big bucks for him. But yeah, good player for us, solid up and down. Scored some really important goals for us. Got stuck in. There was times where he went kind of missing in games as well. But I think overall a really good, solid academy graduate for us is Jacob Ramsey. And then we'll go with the right midfield. Mark Albrighton. There wasn't very many that came through that I could really sort of identify. But Albrighton was that sort of up and down player. Again, Villa in his blood, a big Villa fan. Did really well for us, especially in I think it was the Lambert days, perhaps, and that sort of era. Played on the right, some good crossing ability. Didn't necessarily have the pace all the time to beat his man, but put some good, decent crosses in. Would give you a good, work rate up and down that right-hand side, tracking back, getting forward. Chipped in with a couple of important goals here or there, but wasn't an outstanding player. We sold him on to Leicester, where he went on to win a Premier League title. But yeah, Mark Albrighton, a solid performer on that right-hand side. I think he's still involved in the Villa at the moment with the media work and stuff like that. So, and always talks highly about his time here. So, yeah, Mark Albrighton, solid right winger for us. On the left wing, nobody comes close to this guy, and probably our best academy graduate is Jack Grealish. What a player to come through Villa through and through. I'm still hopeful that he'll come back and wear the shirt at some point, maybe next season. But yeah, what can I say about him? Second coming of Paul Gascoigne. Great dribbling ability, strength, goal scoring, assisting. He was just, he kept us up that season that we came back up to the Premier League, got us up to the Premier League from the Championship as well. I'm sure that he would still want to wear the claret and blue one more time. And if we're in a different team, we're looking at sort of European football on a regular basis, Champions League perhaps next season. I'm sure that there's an opportunity for Jack to come back. He would be all over that, considering that his age as well. He's coming towards the tail end of his career. But by probably the best academy player, him and Gareth Barry. But Grealish obviously came through the academy from when he was like, I think, 8-year-old or something. So, always had Villa in his heart, and an amazing player for us. And 100 million to Manchester City. We didn't use the money wisely, but on the face of it, but it was a sale that was needed. I'm surprised that City went to 100. I think the clause was in there for 100, and I don't think anyone expected anyone to get to 100, but they did, and it's happened. Obviously he won some league titles at City, but I would say the move didn't quite work out maybe the way that he would wish. He wasn't an integral player under Pep. So Grealish, come back to Villa in the summer. Let's get it done. Let's see you back at Villa Park, back in a Villa jersey, playing in the Champions League for Aston Villa. And then the front two, again, you got the Moore brothers who were in contention for this. Darren Byfield, who's currently a manager of Walsall, but realistically, it's these two up front, isn't it? You've got Cameron Archer as well, perhaps, but Gabby Agbonlahor, who's just recently been overtaken as the all-time goal scorer, did really, really well for us in the years that he was with us. Pace, power, scored some really important goals. Scored goals against Blues, Man United. Just a handful. You were in a game when he was about, especially in his prime. And yeah, he was just really, really good. Him, Agbonlahor up front together, Ashley Young, Stuart Downing, Milner, that sort of midfield, Petrov. That was the heydays of Agbonlahor, getting him in between the lines and just letting him finish. And similar to Ollie Watkins, great with the instinctive finishes when he didn't have to think about it. Not so good when he had time to think about it, but still, a threat. And he scored goals for us. He was obviously with us for a long time. Club legend. And currently working at TalkSport. Keep up the good work, Gabby. You're in there for me as well. Darius Vassell, the last name. So going with the Vassell and Agbonlahor combination. Similar type players in regards to the pace and the running in behind. Vassell getting more I think he played better for England sometimes than he did for Aston Villa. It was strange to see Vassell get as many caps as he did and many goals that he did for England. Because sometimes at Villa, he didn't always look the finished article. It looked like there was always work to be done, but maybe playing with better players around him and having those chances opened up for him, just gave him that opportunity. But Darius Vassell, I think I remember his debut when he came on and rescued a game for us against Storm Godset back in the UEFA Cup back in the 90s. That was a late 90s. I think that was like under John Gregory, I think. We were going out and, Vassell came on and scored a late goal, which saw us through or saw us come back. I think we were like 2-0 down at Villa Park, and he managed to come on and we managed to win the first leg like 3-2 with the last gasp Vassell goal. And yeah, he was a handful, pace, power, some good finishes in there as well. Maybe he could have pushed on a little bit more. Maybe there was more to come from him, but he was really reliant on his pace. Didn't have too much kind of skill going on. It was just more about pace and power for Darius Vassell. But he moved on to Man City, had an okay career under Sven-Goran Eriksson. And then I think he went off to Turkey somewhere as well. And I think he returned back to England with someone else. I think it might be Leicester or something. Can't remember. But yeah, a really good player from the academy was Darius Vassell. Good memories of him. A good lad. I'm not sure what he's doing now, whether he's still involved in football or the media or whatever he's doing. But, a good player and gave us some good memories and always, that willing runner in behind, similar to Agbonlahor. So yeah, Darius Vassell and Agbonlahor up front for me. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Is there anyone that I've forgotten here? There were some other names that could have been put forward, but I just felt that these were the best players that have come through the Villa Academy. But yeah, if there's anyone that I have forgotten or you think should be in there, do let me know. What are your memories of these players? Put them in the comments. Let me know, guys. And I'll come back at you tomorrow with another X1 of unsung heroes, which I've got to put together myself later on today. So yeah, drop me in the comments. Let me know some unsung heroes, cult heroes, you might call them, just players who are appreciated by kind of Villa fans, but maybe not anywhere else and things like that. So Alan Hutton springs to mind. So that's the first one maybe for you. Right back, nailed on. But yeah, let me know, guys, in the comments. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Like, subscribe, comment, share, hype it up, super chat, super thanks. All welcome. And I'll be back at you tomorrow with another video of the X1 series. Bye for now.